Okay.
I was on season 7, which was in 2010, and the winner got $250,000. And the following year, the year after my season, they gave $250,000 and $50K to second place. And I was like, this is insane. I left that competition with $0,
Yeah.
which is the worst part about reality television, is that they don't have to pay their contestants.
Hey everyone, I'm Derrick Fox and you're watching A Bunch of Losers. My guest today is Kent Boyd, runner-up of Season 7 of So You Think You Can Dance. We talk about the divine intervention that leads him from small-town Ohio to the big city of Los Angeles, what it's like to be a runner-up, and life after a dance competition show. Let's go, loser. You've done a few podcasts?
Yes, I have.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, especially when they're like this.
I hated when I was a kid. My parents would put on like talk radio in the morning, and I'm like, I want to listen to music.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to listen to old people talk.
And now look at you.
Here I am.
Manifested. I hope your parents are listening.
I think they do.
Where are you from originally?
Originally Florida, but then this is always a tough question. But then when I was 5, I moved to Colorado because we had family in Colorado. My mom got divorced. We moved to Colorado, and then I was there up until like freshman year of high school, and then moved back to Florida for baseball.
Oh.
I had a coach and a Colorado Rockies scout sit my family down and was like, you need to move Derrick somewhere where you can play year round. It was that whole like meeting, right? And
my cousin's a scout, so like I definitely understand the world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, we moved back to Florida, and we sought out this school and this coach and everything, and the coach turned out being a fucking asshole, and just
they all are. They're kind of crazy.
Yeah, this guy just did
Baseball,
not.
football, all of them are a little whack.
Yeah, and he was a baseball and football coach, and so like our drills on the baseball team, we treated us like football players.
Yeah.
There was kids puking and shit. Like it was like, this isn't baseball. Right. But anyway, yeah. So. And then I joined a band when I was in high school and toured around the country. So, like, I'm really kind of from everywhere. Like, I'm just from everywhere. Yep. You're from Ohio.
Correct.
Yeah. What was growing up in Ohio like?
It was pretty flat. Not a lot. It was pretty flat. Not a lot to do. But it was good for the family. I had an older brother and a younger sister. And it was just like I went to a public school, K through 12. So, like, you know, you would be like a senior and you'd walk down and be like the librarian for the first graders, which was pretty, I don't know, it was just like, it was just what it was. We didn't know any better. And I had about 50 kids that I graduated with.
Wow.
It was like, you know, we were close to Amish town. Like, it was just
small,
simple life. Yeah. And I'm glad I got out for sure. Like, I knew at a very young age that I really desperately needed to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Chicago, and I was like, please, parents, let me go. It's not that far, but
what didn't happen?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Chicago gets cold.
Yeah, it does. Freezing.
Well, gosh, these are all things I wanted to ask you about. But first off, you're here because you were on So You Think You Can Dance.
That's right.
And you were a runner-up.
First loser.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
I was a runner-up too.
I know. Runner-up club.
It's terrible. Hold on. So for people that don't watch So You Think You Can Dance, what is the prize?
Yeah. Well, it's changed since I've been on, which is ironic.
Okay.
I was on season 7, which was in 2010. And the winner got $250,000. And the following year, the year after my season, they gave $250,000 and $50K to second place. And I was like, this is insane. I left that competition with $0, which is the worst part about reality television, is that they don't have to pay their contestants. Mm-hmm. But, you know, as we get into it, one of the producers, as I was like taken off the stage and was looking at my friend Lauren Frodeman, who won that season. She's amazing.
You guys are still friends?
Yeah, I literally just saw her like 2 weeks ago.
Cool.
Went to a fun like exhibit. She's amazing. She's a really wonderful person inside and out. So I'm glad I lost to her.
Yeah.
If it would have been somebody else, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was her. But I remember being off stage and, you know, there's flowers in front of me, and and one of the producers was like, you will make that money. You know, I was just like, my biggest thing was like, I didn't care about winning. I just wanted that money. I came from a small town. I didn't really know what was going to happen next. I didn't have things lined up.
Yeah.
You know, I was very new and fresh to the whole entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So I was just worried about funds, and he was like, "You will make that money," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Okay,
It just took time, you
Right.
know, but it was definitely the biggest springboard. And I think being second place, you already feel like a loser. So there's not like you have to like prove anything.
Yeah.
It's just like it is what it is. I kind of enjoy being second place. And there's kind of like, even within So You Think You Can Dance, it's America's favorite dancer. And that's something that they always emphasize as favorite. And you can kind of go throughout the seasons and see that second place always does like a really good job. Like some of my favorite contestants were always second place. Like I don't know. So I kind of felt fine with it. Like Twitch from season 4 was second place. And like, look at him. He's one of the biggest names off of that show. So it's pretty interesting. And I think it was just like, I just wanted to get far enough to tour with them, because if you get into a like top 5 or whatever it was that year, we started to tour. And so that was probably one of the best parts about doing that show afterwards, was touring.
Did you tour on a bus, or were you all in vans?
Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it multiple people on a bus, like bunk bed style?
Yep.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
I love it
mean,
too.
I grew up on campers. Like we would camp. So like falling asleep on the bus was so easy.
So easy.
Yeah. And it was nice. And, you know, you would just fall asleep and then go, and then all of a sudden wake up at the next place.
Yeah, it's the best. Did you guys, when you toured, did you, like, would you perform and then drive through the night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would perform, and then we would like clean ourselves up, and then go do like talkbacks and like meet the fans, and then we would hit the bus, and then we'd all celebrate and drink, and we could just, it was, you know, like we could do anything on that bus, play games. It was like read books if you wanted alone time. Like it was chill. I love the tour life and haven't really stopped touring since.
Yeah.
So I'm always on the go, kind of like what you were saying.
It's, I love, so you're like from everywhere. It's like you get the
experience everywhere at least.
I mean, America's culture is kind of weird, and it's kind of jaded, and we have some, you know, things that we're trying to correct.
Always, which is
right?
good, you know.
But you get to see. I mean, our country is big.
Yeah,
and you don't realize it till you're out. Like
Texas is huge.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah, I have a place in Texas too. But I remember the first time I drove across Texas, I-10, like bottom of Texas. That's like the longest stretch, and you know, I got into Texas and the sun was coming up, and then halfway through the sun was going down, and I'm like,
where did you go? Did you? Yeah, it was probably like you didn't even get anywhere.
I didn't get out of Texas for an entire day. It was when I was driving from Florida to California.
My gosh, that is a drive.
Yeah, and I did it. I wish I could have had it like recorded, because I probably did it in one of the fastest. I drove from Naples, Florida to Los Angeles, California in 42 hours. I didn't stop. I was like, I want, because I was like, I want out of my town. Like I'm like, we just did like a tour, and we made a boatload of money, and my parents were building a house, so I didn't have like a house to like, I didn't have my parents to stay with. I was like crashing on friends' couches. I was like, but with money, but I couldn't go like rent a place because I couldn't sign a lease.
You didn't have roots yet, so you're just kind of.
I was just like, well, fuck
migrating.
it. I was like, guys, when you're ready, I'll be in LA, because they all, you know, they were all with their parents. We were young. Like I was probably one of the oldest in the band, and I was 19. Like our guitar player was 17, and he was like, he had just finished high school, and so he was
That's young.
Yeah, he was moving out to California to go to Pepperdine. So our whole plan was, we're gonna move to LA. John can stay in school, because that was his dad's rule. His dad was like, you can be in the band, but you have to go to school. And so he, you know, we were all had this plan, and I was like, well, they were all like, well, we're gonna come out in August, because that's when school starts. I was like, well, I'm going now. I'll see you when you get there. And I just it was just Red Bulls and go.
There's the sponsor. There's the plug.
They didn't have Celsius yet. I mean, that would have been much
less
better.
Jittery. I like Celsius.
It's so good. Do you want one? I have an extra.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get into that.
Go for it.
Thank you.
So what made? Okay, I definitely want to get into where you found dance, but before we go to that, what made you go, okay, I'm gonna audition for So You Think You Can Dance?
Yeah.
And did you also? Was that the first time you auditioned?
Mm-hmm.
Season 7. Okay.
It was.
Tell me about how you got into it.
Speaking of Chicago, I auditioned in Chicago.
Okay.
And I was actually headed to Chicago to audition for a couple different colleges. I was going to go audition for Juilliard. And that their audition, they have a couple different, they have one in California and Chicago, New York, and you can do all these things. So I went and immediately got cut, and I was devastated. And I was with my mom, and that was the dream. I was training, getting all these lessons and all these privates just to kind of see if I could get into the prestigious Juilliard school, which they only accept 12, like 6 boys and 6 girls.
You got to have extreme confidence to even think I could go to Juilliard.
Yeah, the confidence was not an issue. Like cool. I was just thinking, like, for me, it felt like when I was training, it felt like a sport. Like you go in, you do your craft, and then you leave. As I got older, it feels more of like an art and more expression, or if you're choreographing. But when I was auditioning, it was a game.
Yeah.
And as I find out, like all these kids were like, you go in and they're hugging the professor already, and you're just like, how do they know these people? And it's all about connections. So I definitely, kind of got the short end of the stick, but I was like, okay, this is fine, because when we were in Chicago, we found the So You Think audition, and they were happening in 2 days. And my mom and I were there, and she was just like, let's do it.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just stayed in Chicago. I think my aunt came up. And, we go to whatever theater it was that they were holding the audition, and we show up at 7. And of course, there's a line around the block, and it's like stretches however long.
Yeah.
And I walk up and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, we're going to be here for probably 2 days, not 1 day.
Yeah.
And I hear Kent. And I look to the front of the line, and there's my friend, Abby Keller. What's up, Abby Keller? And she's like, come over here. And so boom, I'm number 6. Just like that.
You got to skip the line.
And the whole fucking line.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, perfect. Like, this is meant to be. Like, it just is smoothing. So I go in there, I do the interviews, I audition, and it just kind of flows. And I'm ready, and I feel excited, and I'm also nervous, but it just feels right. And so the audition process happened. I get in front of the judges.
Whoa, slow down. So do you, when you're going to audition, did they tell you, like, what songs you should prepare dances to, or how many, or like?
Well, they start out with like an audition or an improv round.
Okay.
So they'll divide you by your category of what style you perform under, whether it's ballroom, contemporary, jazz, hip hop, whatever it is, tap. And I went under jazz, but later on they put me in contemporary, which they're similar backgrounds, similar structures that come from ballet.
Okay.
And so I go up there, and I get a golden ticket from one of the producers right away. And I was like, perfect. So then once you get that ticket, then you get to go in front of the judges.
So did you have to do the improv to get the golden ticket?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do for your improv?
They just play music, they line you up.
You have
it's
no
like a
idea.
chorus line. Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't need music. I mean, you need a beat. You hear the beat, and you
just
can
find the rhythm, the timing, and you go. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And you just dance around. You give them, you give them what you can do.
Okay.
And you can see, you just want to stand out.
Yeah.
You only have about maybe 5, 4, 8 counts, which is about 16 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's all you get. And you can see right away as I kind of transition. Like, I'm a judge now, so like you can see like it in someone's walk. Like you can tell immediately.
Wow.
So then you get a golden ticket.
Okay.
And then after that golden ticket, then they line you up and they tell you to come back later, and then you perform in front of the judges. Okay. And that piece is choreographed prior to that. So you had to, get all the clearances for the music, and you have it all organized, and then you go.
And what music was that one?
I think I had like a Billy Porter song. I think it was like something really just emotional and chill and relaxed. I think it was like a song called Time or something.
Do you find in like slower songs that there's more room for error?
No.
Really?
I mean, there is. That's technically true, but I also think that there's more time for clarity. I don't know. It just kind of depends your mindset.
Yeah.
And I felt like for me, at being 18, when I was doing this, I wanted to go slow, and it had a big build, it had a big bass, and I wanted to smack some people. Like, I had a lot of rage, but it's all like I wanted to time out that rage. I wanted it to be dynamic and pop,
Okay.
And I wanted to show these people too, like, I have a little bit more of a zing, a little bit more energy than a lot of people. And so you kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of, I guess I didn't second guess it. It just was what
present.
It was.
Yeah, you were super present.
And there were so many factors to it that this thing would get eliminated because you couldn't get the clearance to it, or you couldn't get this. So it would just kind of show you the way to go, and then that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And so I get in front of the judges and I do it. and they love it, and they make me talk, and I talk about where I'm from, and I'm like, I'm from Wapakoneta, Ohio. Neil Armstrong's from there. There's a
Oh,
big,
no shit.
Yeah, he's the first man on the moon. He's from our town.
Was it real? Was the moon landing real?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there people living on the moon right now? Potentially. Who knows what's happening now?
I'm two ways about. We'll go back to this, but I'm two ways about the moon. Sometimes I'm like, it was fake, or they faked it first and then we did it later because the whole trying to beat Russia,
look like number one.
And then I'm like, well, if we did get to the moon, like, why don't we do more stuff?
Yeah,
there?
I think we are doing more stuff.
I think there's
That's
people
what I'm thinking
hiding
too.
out there.
I'm like, we went to the moon in 1969. Like,
Yeah.
come on, it's 2022.
Yeah. Anyway,
But I think it was real. So I explain everything. I'm like, oh, I'm from this place where there's like a ball and it looks like a moon, and they're just bantering and it's funny and I'm having a good time, and
Yeah.
and they were like, okay, perfect. We want to see you come back for the later audition, because
Okay.
there is some people would get straight through to Vegas, because that was the next round before you made it onto the live shows. We had a Vegas portion.
and now the judges that are judging at this point, it's not the judges on TV, right? It's producer
There,
judges.
well, there was it was like Stacey Tukey, Adam Shankman, Nigel Lithgow, and maybe Mary Murphy. So
Okay.
they had, it was always a mixture of on these panels. There was a choreographer, and then there was actual judges, because during our season, which was different, I think Mia Michaels, Adam Shankman, Mary Murphy, and Nigel Lithgow were our panel. But they didn't really, once we made the live show, it was up to the live audience to vote. They didn't really have a lot to say unless you were in the bottom three, which I never was. They
Nice.
would save you. And that was a big deal. So
Okay.
then they had that opinion.
Wow.
So I did that.
Yeah.
Went to the last audition.
And how long was filming? Like how long does So You Think You Dance film?
Do
Do you guys film? It airs live?
Yeah, so it's totally changed from the one that you've seen that just aired, because it took a break over COVID and it came back with JoJo Siwa and
Yeah.
Leah Remedy and Twitch, who's now a judge. They only have a one slot. Ours was a Wednesday and a Thursday, which was kind of like Survivor. You would perform on one day,
Or Idol.
and then Idol. It was very much that
okay.
formula. You would perform, and then you would vote, and then the next day you'd find out the results.
And then you'd have to wait until next week. So what would happen from when you make it through to the next round, that 5 days? What were you guys doing?
Learning the next routines.
That's it. Just
Yeah, they would give us the duets. They would give
Yeah.
us the group routines. We would film.
And how many hours a day were you spending working on those?
it was from 8 to 8, sometimes even longer, every day, which was fun. That was the best part.
Yeah. I mean,
Working.
it keeps you busy. It keeps you focused. It keeps you like oiled up, Like,
Yes.
I mean, the hardest part for me on the cooking show was being on a cooking show. I was doing the least amount of cooking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
You weren't like, I think when I watch those shows, like, man, they must leave these like shows feeling so amped to just fucking.
we
cook.
are amped because we weren't doing enough. So we get, we cook, like when Gordon Ramsay's like, your time starts now, and we have an hour to cook. We cook that hour, and then we're done, and then we do interviews for however many hours. It takes longer the more people there are, whatever. We get done with interviews. Catering comes in for like dinner, so we don't cook that. We eat like whatever's brought in, and then we go back to the hotel by like 9 o'clock. We don't get to cook at the hotel because we don't have kitchens like in our hotel.
I always wondered that
Right.
too. Like, did you ever get to prep? Like,
No.
were you ever like?
We get to do there's no cooking except for that 1 hour. And then the next day we wake up super early. We get in our wardrobe. We go to set. We get in the hair and makeup. Put on our aprons. Once our aprons are on, we can't sit down because they don't want them to wrinkle. And then audio comes in, puts on the mic, and then we're standing until it's time to shoot. And it's just that 1 hour. And like we find out what the challenge is. And sometimes depending on where the lunch break falls, like we'll have to film after lunch or before lunch. And yeah, so it's like we do the least amount of cooking, because like now, like when I cook, I mean, I cook all day long when I'm working or at home or prepping for a gig or wanting to shoot a video. Like I do so much cooking when I'm at home, but on MasterChef, it's 1 hour a day.
That's so weird.
And then on the weekends, like on the weekends, we would sometimes get like kitchen time to play, but it'd only be like an hour and a half. And that was it. So there's a lot of just downtime.
Yeah.
which is your head goes crazy.
I'm sure.
You think of so much shit and
you get in your head.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know about you. Like for us, it wasn't competitive, but like you were trying to like not get eliminated.
yeah. Yeah, I mean with MasterChef, we're definitely definitely in the beginning too, it's like you're trying to find this balance and you're kind of in your head about it of, well, it's the beginning, there's 40 of us or there's 20 of us, and you're like, I don't want to show off too much, but I also don't know how much everyone else is going to show off, and if I don't show off enough,
Yeah, that game of like where you want to put your skill
because you want to
level
kind
at.
of float in the middle until it's time to strike, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I struggle with that because I'm also the kind of person coming from the music business. I'm sure you feel this way when you're dancing. It's like you perform every show like it's your last.
Yeah.
I mean,
why else? I mean,
right.
like you're just present, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like you're there and you're trying to do the best and
Yeah.
give the vibes that are necessary for that piece.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, I gotta do my best every time. Part of me was like, I just need to float through the middle and make it all the way to the end. And then another part of me was like, because there was one time my band, we got to sit down with Bob Marlette, who's a record producer, done a lot of Foo Fighter albums and stuff.
Cool.
He's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a vibe.
But we got 5 minutes in a room with him to play him a song, and he was like, I really like the song. He's like, but it's not undeniable. He's like, if you guys are gonna make it in this business, you got to be undeniable. And like I heard that and was like, I'm gonna do that with everything in my life.
That's how you
right?
leave your legacy.
Yeah, and I don't know if everyone in the band heard that the same way I did. I mean, obviously we're not together anymore, but I was like, I'm gonna apply that to MasterChef, and it was like every dish is gonna be undeniable. And I mean, it worked out except for the fact that I didn't win. But even in the finale, like, I mean, 6 years later from the finale, I still get messages like, you should have won. Your dishes were better. Obviously it's perception and what people
and it's
saw on
subjective.
TV.
I'm sure just like taste is so much of how you feel that day or what's going on in your mouth, or I don't even know. Like that would be so hard to be
Super
a
hard.
judge and just be like, this dish is better than that dish.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. I mean, it's definitely hard on their part. And this season, I went out I got eliminated because I'm on an all-star season right now and made it to top 7, but went out on a challenge that had nothing to do with food. It was this wall challenge, and we have to we're in a team of 2 and our partner's on the other side of a wall, and we have to create the same dish, but we can't see each other, and we have to communicate.
Sounds like something TV.
It's
like,
so
sounds
TV.
Just sounds
it's so
produced.
In fact, I think it actually hurts the brand of MasterChef because it's not.
Ooh.
It's not a MasterChef kind of thing. It
sounds like a viral TikTok.
Yeah, it was like the new producers were like, we got to mix it up, and it's like,
sure,
you
I
guys,
love those experimental changes.
It's terrible, and it's more like Cutthroat Kitchen. Have you ever seen that show? Cutthroat Kitchen. It has like Alton Brown, and he does like, it'll be like 2 people cooking or 3 people cooking, and then like you start with so much money. Like everyone starts with like $10,000, and then he'll offer up a challenge to go, you can spend $1,000 of your money and take away your competitor's knife.
Oh my!
And then the competitor has to like use something else to like cut. It's like this is not like, that show's fun because that it's not about cooking.
Yeah, it's like,
but MasterChef
clowning.
is like about cooking,
right?
And about what we do with these dishes, and then we have this fucking clown show of a wall. Like, I'm not happy about it. Obviously, I'm a little bitter, but whatever. It's done. It's over with. Moving on.
To the next.
Yeah,
wall.
Yeah. I mean, you know how it's like. I mean, how did it feel? So that producer comes up to you, is like, you're gonna make that money. Like, it's gonna be good. So you think you can dance? Is there kind of a roadmap? Like, is there anyone mentoring you, saying, here's an idea for you coming off this show? Because like when you went in for it, you didn't know how far you were gonna make it. You didn't know. Did you have a plan for like life after? So you think you can dance?
No, I don't. I mean, there are mentors. That's the thing with mentors. There are mentors everywhere. It's just like, are you able to receive and hear the advice?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, well, you just like think about comparing So You Think to American Idol. It's like the track of a musician is like they get signed and there's a label and then they create an album. A dancer's track is way more open, loose-ended. It hasn't really been established, and I think that was something that was really scary.
Yeah.
And I think that having the tour right after the live tapings was the best thing for us to get our heads on, to perform, to kind of see how people react, to kind of get that data that you needed to kind of
start building relationships.
Yeah. And which was weird, there was no recipe. There is still no recipe book for it. Obviously, there are apps and things that can connect you to dance more than it ever has. And I think now people are becoming better judges of dance, because you can hear when someone's flat or sharp, or you can, taste something when it's bad or when it's good. But dance, I think it's one of those things that was for the high art, highbrow. You had to have a lot of money to go even witness the ballet. But now you can go onto your phone and see it. So you can have a stronger sense of what you like.
You could literally spend 24 hours a day on your phone and not see the same dance video.
Yeah. And you can go down awesome rabbit holes of choreographers and of dancers. And I love that our universe now allows that for people and has exposed that.
I mean, TikTok and Instagram reels are that's like your best friend now.
It's the future, and since the pandemic too, we really had to kind of shake things up and kind of like surrender to those platforms as well. Because I am a performer choreographer. Like, I'm always thinking about a screen, and I just need to remember, we all have to know now that the screens are probably 6 inches. They're not like 42, 65 inches.
Yeah.
That the majority of our audience is watching them on.
Right.
But I guess right after So You Think, like, I didn't even know what was going to happen. And I got into acting. I got into the Disney Channel. That's they were kind of scouting me throughout the tour season. And I ended up getting a manager from it who was representing the host, Kat Deely, and we had a great run. And she came and she brought some of the execs from Disney, and then they would go around and talk to the people that were at the concerts and be like, "Who are you here for?" And they were like, "We're here for Kent," and they would just ask them things about me, and it was really good. And then started doing like Shake It Up Chicago, which was a dance series with Zendaya, and then slowly transitioned into a Disney Channel original movie franchise, Teen Beach Movie 1 and 2, which was, again, such an amazing accomplishment because it was a period piece and we got to dance, and it was based in the 60s and 50s, kind of like an Annette Funicello beach blanket bingo. So it had this like retro feel, and it was like some of the best dancing ever. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like,
and now you're getting like royalties, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. And I'm still working with the company.
Amazing.
I think it was just like when you have so much exposure, and I think that's what one of the producers was saying. And at that time, people weren't streaming in 2010 and 11 as much as they were now.
Right.
So my face, and I'll go out a lot, and they'll be like, "Oh, I know you, right?" And I'm like, "No, you don't know me." Like it's like they just feel like maybe they've spent some time with me, and potentially they might have had that time with me. But it was literally, I was just in Flagstaff with my sister and her friend. She just moved there not too long ago, and I met her friend, and she was like, "Oh my God, I saw you on So You Think You Can Dance. You were my sexual awakening." And I was like, "What?
What does that mean?"
I know. And
did you ask her?
No, I did. I was like, that's cool. That's amazing. And she's like, "Yeah, when you kiss Frody, like that was like so real to me, and that was the first time I ever had seen like passion like that." And I was like, "Cool." Like it was things like that I think, will stick with people. And that's kind of the energy that I get to continue to ride. And I think it just, you get your face out there, and then people that kind of match your energy follow you. And I think Disney was the first one to kind of absorb that.
Yeah.
And so, then I did that with the channel. I created a show with the channel, and now I'm doing TikToks with the channel. And then I created a TikTok house called Pride House LA, which is an LGBTQ like friendly space that Disney has like with their full arms opened and accepted. And so like, it's definitely interesting to see what exposure can do. That's and awesome. How you can manipulate it to benefit and hope for longevity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're on the right track.
I'm on something.
You're on something.
Dance.
Have you worked with Todrick at all?
Yeah.
Is he cool?
Yeah, we love Todrick. Yeah. He comes over to the house all the time. A buddy of mine, Jekko, was just on tour with him. Like, he is, again, a self-made, like, hustler.
I have a story. I don't know. He would probably remember me, but I was dating a girl that was friends with him, and she was on Idol with him. And we were over at his house, like right after. It was a tiny little apartment, and we were just sitting there, and he's like, I got this plan. This is what I'm gonna do. And he was like telling us about it, and was like, wow, that's wild, dude. Go for it, right?
Yeah.
And then now he's like fucking done it. Like, it's so cool to
That
like.
is cool.
I have that one memory, just like sitting in his living room and just talking to us.
Yeah, it's like mad scientist style.
Yeah, and
like
he
status.
is right.
Mhm.
He's got his.
You just gotta cook it up. You gotta think about it, and it has to ring true to you, and you just have to believe it,
Yeah.
and then you just have to go.
Well, you got to help me get him on here.
Oh, he is everywhere,
Everywhere,
and
I mean,
like so hard to connect with.
yeah. That's cool. What about G Madison? You know G Madison?
Mm-mm.
He's a choreographer here in LA. He's
From LA? Sounds like he's Australian.
no, I think he's from LA. Super cool dude. He choreographed some of the dancers. I was playing with a pop band, and he was choreographing our show, and it was really cool to work with him. But he's a big time name out here. Really cool choreographer.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Also, like in the industry, the different facets of choreographer, whether it's for like TV, film, or whether it's for live performances or award shows. Like, there's so many niche markets within the small community that it's interesting.
He does a lot. I mean, he's one of Lady Gaga's dancers. He tours with her, and he's been, he does some of her music videos. So yeah, you should check him out. He's cool. So when did you find dance? Like, you're in this small town, Ohio, middle child.
Yep.
Do you have full middle child syndrome?
I think maybe now I do, but back when I was growing up with them under my like living with my parents, I was not forgotten. I was like, I had all the attention.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I'm forgotten.
now you are, because you moved to LA.
Yeah.
So how did you find dance? You're in this small town.
I had way too much energy, and I think that was something.
I can see your foot hasn't stopped moving the whole time.
Well, that's my gig. I am a mover. I'm like, let me do a little tap dance for you.
Do you want to dance out while you answer questions?
Oh yeah, I'm always stretching. I'm always like, like if people are just sitting at a table, I'm gonna sit on the floor, and I'm gonna, I'm just gonna spend my time shaping my body, I guess. But that was the thing. My mom said I just had too much energy for her, and she's a preschool teacher. Like, she can hang.
Whew.
And I was in every sport, but they're all seasonal, and she wanted something all year round, and she knew a friend of a friend and put me in the local dance studio there, and I just loved it. I mean, I love music, I love concerts, and like I love moving. And so when that mix happened, and when the teacher would play your favorite song, and you would just with all your homies just jump around and move and try to like kick higher than them or hold a headstand longer than them, like it just felt like, yeah, I'm gonna do this.
So how old were you when you?
I was 6.
6, and you were just like not turning back.
Yeah.
So, were there any times from 6 to like getting into high school, like when you're in high school? Because high school, there's like a lot of distractions. How did you like keep the discipline to keep dancing?
Yeah, I think that there was like a year that I tried to like focus a little bit more on my school or like sports, but it just was so clear to me that I was going to dance. I mean, there was obviously a transition period time, when you go and you're a freshman and all the like the upperclassmen like pick on you. Like, I would always get made fun of. There was always like a talent show at the end of the year, and I would always perform in it, and they would always put me last. And so it was like I was the last thing that the kids would see, the bell would ring, and that was end of the year. In one year, it was like my last year to do it. I was getting made fun of a lot. Like, these kids were picking on me, and I was just like, I told my mom, I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to school. Like, Dad, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And, the superintendent was like, you have to do it, pulled me in. And,
that's
yeah, it was good. And at that time, she confronted the bullies and like had this big assembly, and it was like pretty intense. And I just like, just kind of was like, okay, I'll do it. And like,
do you remember what you performed?
I think it was I think Business of Love from The Mask. You remember The Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
I'm just and he wears like a yellow suit.
Amazing.
And I looked like a pimp. Yeah. It was crazy.
Awesome.
So it was just wild things like that. You look back at it and you're like,
right.
wow, where did I have the nerve? But like the nerve wasn't even questioned until like I was made fun of and things like that.
Yeah.
But there was so many. There wasn't even enough kids to be made fun of. Like I had probably like 22 guys in my class. Like that was it.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna dance. You guys want to see it? You're bored. Like
so
what else are you gonna do?
Like everybody. It's like the bully.
I know the bully, and I know his sister and his mom, and yeah.
Has he ever come back and apologized?
Oh, they all apologized, but I mean, like, they all know.
Yeah.
They know.
You're like, ha.
I mean,
Look at
anybody
me
who's
now.
picking on you is clearly your number one fan.
Right. I there's a lot of like, anti-bullying campaigns and stuff, and like I get it. Like it's not cool, and it definitely it hurts a lot of people. But I think you might agree, but for like me, I'm like, I love the bullies. Like they just motivate me, and like still, I mean, there's still like when people now more than ever with social media, people just like comment and they have like no idea what they're saying. Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
the trolls
it's like,
online, man, are nuts. And the Karens.
Yeah. It's really hard to like not engage sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, I think I spend like too much time fantasizing about how I'm gonna like, destroy my enemies. But I think for me, like for my mental health, like I have to swim away because I self-discipline a lot. Being a dancer, my worst,
especially since you approach it like an athlete.
Yeah. My worst enemy is me, and a mirror. And I spend all day in front of a mirror, and I can nitpick myself to like where you start to hate yourself. Yeah. And so I have to be really careful of that because it starts to affect how you perform because it is an art. And if you're coming from a place that just is so judged and so like criticized, I don't know, it just doesn't read pure, and people don't gravitate towards things that don't feel genuine or pure. So I have to do like a really good job of just like mentally like stepping away, or I'll just go into like a big depression. And if I'm depressed, like I can't dance. And that's that's I think one of the biggest things is like if I'm not on my mental health, then I'm not on my game, and I can't create, and I can't connect, and then I can't work, and then I can't make money.
Yeah, so you're like, just don't read the comments.
Yeah, don't read the comments.
I mean, that's the best. I mean, Joe Rogan gives that advice all the time. Just post and ghost and don't read the comments.
Post and ghost is fun. But then your agent's like, you need more engagement. And so then you're like, okay, fine. Then you go on and then you start attacking.
Yeah. I mean, I went through this phase where I was like, I'm going to convert the haters. And I was successful with some of them because it was really...
Yeah, they just want attention, most of them.
And if you come at them calm, you don't say anything, reactive, and if you don't give them anything, any fuel on the fire...
Just sending in an emoji or like...
I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry that's how you think of me. Is there, like, for instance, like someone's like, you're so cocky, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, when you're in these competition shows, you have to be confident or you get eaten alive. And they go, oh, I never really thought of it that way. I'm so sorry. And it's just like,
well, that's a good one.
But that's an example.
That's a great example because you get to kind of shed light and expose.
Well, and that's how I
experience.
That's how I was like trying to put it was like, like instead of attacking back, like shed some light on the situation. And then they're like, but also I have an idea for these comments that would get rid of like probably minimum 75% of haters, but probably 95% of the hate comments should not be text. They should have to be your face saying the comment in video form with like, because like we have facial recognition, like our iPhone has it. So it has to be the same facial recognition on your iPhone. You can't be wearing a mask. You can't like, put on a filter. Like you have to say it, no filter, like say out video your comment. So if you want to say...
That sounds like the next Be Real or whatever. Have you heard of Be Real?
No, what is that?
Oh, Be Real's cool. It's like this app that will notify you and you only have 2 minutes to respond and you just have to take a photo of where you are and it works the front camera and the back camera. It's what the kids are doing right now. But then you need to make that one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I mean, all the platforms, they just adopted it and they're like, you have to, if you want to respond on Instagram to someone's video reel, like it has to be a video comment. You can't just type out hate. Because it's real easy to type out something that you don't mean or you think is going to hurt somebody. But but if you had to look into the camera and say it, you wouldn't say it. A lot of people wouldn't say it.
Yeah, that would be an interesting.
That's my thought. I think that's my solve. Did you deal with any? Because this is what happens. I have anxiety from the TV show. I don't sleep. I spend all night thinking of recipes or food, and then when I get tired of that, then it's like, I want to solve world issues, and that's one of them.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know. I look at Gordon Ramsay, all the shit he does. I'm like, how does he do it?
All of his assistants are doing it. Maybe.
Yeah, he's got a big team.
Yeah,
but there's that point where, and I feel like you're probably really experiencing this right now because you're talking about being a judge. Like you went from being a contestant, touring, now you're doing a lot of touring, working with Disney. Like you have there's this transition period where you go from the solo person doing it all and then getting into that you have a whole team. Like, are you feeling that?
Yeah. I think too, it's interesting how the world will kind of just put your time and energy and maybe it'll hyper focus on one thing. Like I'm on a tour on a convention called Hollywood Vibe where it will go with 8 other professional instructors from New York, California, some in Texas and Atlanta, and we'll go and we'll travel and we'll teach over 1,000 kids. And so you are in a room, you know, filled with 400 kids and split up by age, and you create a combo and you know teach it to them in 15 minutes, and you look back and you watch them do it, and it's just like that perspective of changes because once I was them once,
right,
and now I'm this,
right,
and now my eyes have changed, my thoughts are changing, what I'm looking for has totally shifted. You know, I'm looking at body language differently. I'm not, you know, potentially hyper focused on what I was when I was, you know, a younger dancer. You know, we were thinking about potentially trying to hit this or make sure that we weren't late here, but then it's like it's just so interesting when given new material, your perspective changes and it opens up so much more, and then it leads you to the next thing, and you just kind of add on to your toolbox, and you can kind of just continue to grow like that, I guess.
Well, and perception really, like when you start using perception as a tool, because I've been doing it heavily for the last few years, like immediately what I think about something, I go, okay, there's that. And I recognize that's how I initially thought. And then it's like, okay, let's take a beat. Let's look at it from another angle, whether it's food or it's creating something or the way somebody's responding to something, you know, social issues, like it's so many things. Everything has a perception, as your perception, as my perception, as other, and like the way you may see it is different than the way I see it. But you have a better understanding if you're watching a dancer auditioning because you've done that, right? And that's why, like
experience.
Yeah, experience, and then when you can also have the perception, it's like, well, how are the fans seeing it? Because I've heard from the fans.
Yeah,
it's like, so then you can think about.
There's so, you know, and it can get overwhelming. You know, like I get stuck with that so many times, especially like with working with like a pop star or trying to like impress a director, you know, and it's like the first time they see your work, and it's just like you have all of these ideas of like who are you trying to entertain, who are you trying to foster your work for, or what's the market audience, and it can get really scary, you know, and I find that I still haven't figured out the balance yet.
Sure.
And
I think it's really always just juggling the balance. But when you have perception as a tool in your kit, you become better. I think that a lot of people, that especially now, like people get in their echo chambers and they get narrow-minded and then they're not growing, and they see everyone growing around them, and then they get angry, and then they become that troll online. Yeah. And it's like, and
anger is so easy to go to, especially when you're not hitting.
Yeah.
You know, when you're not like, you know, you have a certain expectation, and if you're not like hitting that, you can get angry and get bitter, and that kind of just, I'm sure, I don't know about you, because my feelings directly kind of connect to my work. I don't know if that translates with, I'm sure it does with your music, but does it translate ever with your food making?
Yeah, so Great question. When I started playing drums, it was actually to take out aggression. Like I was feeling angry because I had this coach, this baseball
Right.
coach getting in my way, and I needed an outlet. And I felt I had a temper bad. I mean, bad. Like
Same.
the littlest thing would snap me. But I never wanted to hurt anybody. So it wasn't like I would go, like if a bully was bullying me, I wouldn't go fight him.
Right.
You know, but I would need something. And one day I was just like, I think there was like, it was a combination of like a kid at school that like didn't like me because a girl liked me and not him. And so he was bullying me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this shit with the baseball coach, and I just didn't go to school one day. And I was like, I went into the garage and I flipped over trash cans. And like I had
Blue Man Group.
similar to Blue Man or Stomp.
Yeah, Stomp was a big inspiration of mine too.
Amazing. So I had heard this interview with Dave Grohl, and he was like, we used to practice in the garage, and we'd crack the garage to create the reverb, like to let some of the sound out. So I cracked the garage.
Smart.
And I set up these trash cans, and my dad had like
reverb.
tools, and I took like these paint stir sticks,
Sure.
and then I took and I put socks on the end and wrapped them with duct tape and made mallets. And then for hours I was just in there banging on these trash cans to where like the neighbors were calling my parents, and like my parents came home from work, and like I ended up stopping because the garage got open. And they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I need a drum set."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, we'll talk about it." Because, you know, my parents didn't have like the money to like really go buy me a drum set. And I wore them down, and they bought my first drum kit. And then,
Well, did it take a while to learn?
yeah, I was terrible. And like, and my mom, when we got the kit, we got like 3 free drum lessons at the music store. And, you know, this guy, I mean, he was an amazing player,
Not a teacher.
but and I don't know, it's kind of blurry. The dude was kind of strange. I think all like music teachers that are in the little closet teaching kids, it's
Hard.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken a couple weird harmonica lessons in
Okay.
a closet. Yeah, like it was just like, you just want me to hear you play. Like you're not trying to teach me.
That part's weird when they like show off.
Yeah,
like, just
like-
do it. Yeah, it's
like
like,
I clearly cannot understand that
Yeah,
yet.
not
Like I'm not
there.
even on that level.
and I think because I have that perception now, I've actually become a good teacher, and because I understand it's not about showing the final product.
No.
It's about breaking that down
Wherever they're at.
wherever they're at, and then building up those building blocks, and then they get the final product, and then you go, yeah, you got it, without them ever knowing what the final product is, right? So anyway, I had the drum teacher. He just put me straight on a practice pad, and I was like, I have a whole drum kit at home. What is this? Like, I don't want to do this for an hour. Looking back, I did need to do that for an hour and slowly build up and whatever. But I'm also a little stubborn. I got to learn things the hard way sometimes. And so I got the drum kit. I quit the lessons, and my parents had a rule that like they got home at like 5 o'clock. I got home at like 2:45 from school. And from those hours I could play. And then when they came home, I had to stop. And so like, I mean, sixth
That's
period.
cool. Like a really like a scheduled time because you couldn't be making that noise when they got home. I'm
Correct.
Sure.
And like I wanted to do nothing else. It was like 6th period at school. I was just like
That's cool.
wanting to get home, and I would get on the bus and I would run to the house, and I would get on the drums and I'd play, and it was bad. I was so bad. And then like, you know, my dad would come home and just, and then like one day he came home and I stopped, and he goes, "No, it sounds good. Keep going."
Yay.
And I was like, "Oh shit."
Making music.
Yeah, I was putting together something, you know, and then joined a band, and then the rest, you know, it's a long story, but I landed in LA, but it was about taking out the aggression, and then it was like therapy, and I calmed down tremendously. It was like I found a purpose, I found something that I loved, and then like moving to LA, and then also like with the band, like being a drummer, I started frustration started coming back in because I was having issues with like bandmates because I can't go perform on my own. I need these guys.
Yeah.
And so it was all of us like trying to work together and learning how to be a team. And so, we would do that, but like sometimes we didn't all agree, and I would have to get over it. And then when I got out to LA, there's all these other acts. We went from a small town in Florida where we were the big fish. We could pull
Headlining,
we could pull 3,000 kids to a show with no media, and the media would show up like, what is going on here? And then you get to LA, and then you're a small little
start over.
Yeah. And so that it was like, man, and then now money's involved. It's like before we were living with our parents, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Now in LA, you're like, I gotta pay rent, and it's expensive. So frustration started coming back in, and I found therapy in the kitchen. It was like when I would get frustrated, because also in LA, you live in an apartment, you can't bang on the drums. So it was like I was playing drums less living in this entertainment capital, and that was frustrating me, and
interesting parallel to what happened on the show for you as well.
So but then I had the perception, and I knew how to manage it, and so it was
turned
like
into another craft. That's like really inspiring to me.
Yeah. And I fought hard because I didn't want cooking to become
a thing.
I liked that it was at home. I did it at home. I didn't do it for anybody else. And then when I started to do that and started to see how
was it ever addicting like drumming was?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, the good thing is like once you eat it, you're full, and then you don't really feel like cooking until like the next
again.
Right. But it's like the next meal I would get inspired. Every time I started getting hungry, I got inspired. And then that's kind of like who I am. I'm like, I'm hungry to inspire now. And that's like become my MO. And then I started cooking for people, and I was getting a response. I was like, okay, I shouldn't hide this. Like I should start sharing this. And then that's what, and then when MasterChef, I was always watching MasterChef. That was inspiring me at home. And then one day I was like, all right, I'll audition. And that was fun. But, it was just, but now like I understand the use of the therapy of it. And it actually is the greatest thing, because now I get to do it every day, and there's nothing like I'm not frustrated anymore. I have no angst. I've gotten it all out. And then now I can see that I was frustrated because things weren't going well, or there was a hurdle in the way. And those are the things that challenge us.
Yeah.
And now I'm like ready for those. I'm like, I want to be in that corner where I don't have a way out, and I need to figure it out, and climb a mountain and get to the other side, because that feels so amazing. Right.
Yeah, it does. And it makes me think too, like everything is a pattern, right? Like, and me, I'm always thinking of movement, and all movements are pattern. Like you pick up a mug and you drink it, like just that.
There's timing.
There's timing in that sequence, and how we, weight distribute our wrists and our muscles. Like all of that is, if you break it down and you put it on a Juilliard stage, becomes a concert conceptual piece.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about you cooking, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe you're not moving so much, or you're not creating a rhythm, but you're still creating a pattern that would potentially follow some type of flow that you had when you were drumming. Like everything is.
You're like nailing it. It's so much about the rhythm and timing in the kitchen. And I always say that's why I did so well on MasterChef, is because I could find the timing of the kitchen. I can look at the clock and go, okay, I got 60 minutes. I got this many beats. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like these things need to be accomplished by this time, or it's not happening.
Time is crazy, man. Time management is crazy.
Yeah.
And what you do with time is also beautiful, and
right.
So many choices.
And with music and dance and food, they all live in that space of time and how you feel it. And at what speed. I also think, like, I don't know if you're religious in any way, but like with so much of playing music and like looking at history of music and food, like, and then like successful people, I think that really what people try to say is God is really, they figured out their timing in the universe. And like when you find that timing and you can resonate in that vibe,
Sure.
that's when you're limitless.
Yeah.
And when you find that and figure that out, and I think musicians and a dancer can understand that more than any, because when you are like in the pocket of a song, of a dance, like if you can feel it, it feels amazing.
Yeah, apparently, I guess like our heart has like a radio or some type of magnet frequency that can emanate up to 5 to 10 feet. And apparently, when you're in your zone, it could reach even further than that. So I feel like when you're probably in your power or you're in your flow, it can reach even further.
Right.
And I think that's something that you can see within a dancer fairly quickly and feel, you know. And to me, right now, I'm just like examining myself when I leave this stage. Like, what can I remember? What can I not remember? And how do I feel? And like just trying to collect that data, because I'm trying to still control a couple things that I feel like are out of control for me still. And so
like,
it's,
for instance,
like not being able to control feels out of control, or not being able to turn everyone, you know, in the crowd, right? Which, you know, isn't really our responsibility. Our responsibility is to do our thing, and the crowd should just, you know, we thrive off of, you know, my sister has a baby, and you just are teaching the baby how to react by you reacting.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I need to stop reacting based off of how they react.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out how to just stay as in me as possible. But it's hard because you're giving, you know, like I don't even know what it's like to make something that you feel like is so good, and you eat it and it feels amazing to you, and then you give it to someone else and they can't connect to it at all.
Yeah.
Like, do you just immediately go, okay, well, that's your taste buds and like that's science? Or are you like, you suck?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely, like you said before, anger is easy, right? So when someone doesn't like something you've made and you've put a lot of time into, and obviously, I mean, they're destroying it. Like, one of my things that I say is like, I'm making art, and the better my art is, the faster it's destroyed. And so like I love that.
Burning
it's like,
Man.
Yeah, it's just like destroy it, right?
Yeah.
But like when you see the dish and it's like maybe I mean, it hasn't happened a lot, but like if someone doesn't like something, that's your moment to go to learn, right? And I've learned that through like,
and you don't take it personally.
Yeah. Because everyone's taste buds are different. And a lot of times, you know what it really is people, more than anything, people will come to me. I'll put a menu together, and they go, no, I don't like cauliflower, or something like that. And I'm like, you don't like cauliflower because you haven't had it right. You've probably had it over steamed, and it's smelly, and it's, you know, mush and grainy in your mouth. Like, how about, I'm always like, you sure you don't want to try it? Because like, this is going to blow your mind. And like, I mean, I did a dinner one time, and I did this like Chilean sea bass with cauliflower puree and a brown butter macadamia sage sauce, which, I mean, to me, that sounds fucking epic.
Sauce and sage, man, I'm in.
And this person's like, I don't eat fish, but that was to die for. And I'm like, yeah, because, well, you took a chance, and also like, I built this dish.
Yeah, this was curated.
Yeah. And building this dish, it's not just like I'm making a good cauliflower puree and I'm putting fish on it and I'm putting this sauce on it. Like, I know that there's a certain balance of acidity in this cauliflower that's going to blend well with the fat in the butter and in the fish. And then the sage is going to split those, and that's all going to do this dance in your mouth, and you're going to love it. Like, anyone is going to like this dish. Even if they don't like fish, they're going to eat it and go, wow, this is like good, you know? Another time I had this guy, he was a guest to a dinner, so he had no say in the menu. And I did this, one of my like signature things, I put this like puff pastry cage over a dish, whether it's like a steak or a piece of fish or whatever. And so I kind of did like a deconstructed beef Wellington. I did a filet, I did a mushroom duxelle, and I put this puff pastry cage over. But the mushroom duxelle, for those that don't know what it is, it's just like, it's really finely chopped up mushrooms, and they're sweated out, so you get all the moisture out, and and you use it in a beef Wellington, and you wrap the mushroom gets wrapped around the steak and whatever.
Pigs in a blanket.
Basically. So I tucked this mushroom duxelle under this fillet, so this guy, no one can see it because it's not appealing. I just want that flavor, so I hide it under the steak. And this guy's loving it. He's just crushing this plate. The whole time he's telling me while he's eating this dish that he hates mushrooms. He's like, he's like, I don't know what it is about mushrooms, man. I hate mushrooms. I can't eat them. I don't cook them. Blah,
Oh
blah,
my
blah.
God, you must be like,
And I'm just
celebrating.
I'm just like in my head, I'm just laughing. I'm just playing it cool. And then he finally stops and he goes, "Hey, what's this brown stuff under the steak?" And I looked at him like, "Those are mushrooms." And he's like, "What?"
Oh my God, that's what dreams are made of.
Yeah, and like that was a cool moment. But I mean, that was like I was just learning in that moment. I'm like, it's not about liking things or disliking things. It's like you just haven't had it the right way yet,
Sure.
or you haven't had it a way that you like, that your taste buds like. And also, you can train your taste buds. I used to hate blue cheese. I hated blue cheese. And when I came off MasterChef, I was like, I'm going to be cooking for a lot of people now. And, people are going to want blue cheese on something. I got to figure out how to work with it. It's an ingredient I got to like learn.
Yeah.
And so I bought a mild blue cheese first, and I just would take a little bite every day. And a little bite until I got through that. And then I stepped up to a more, potent, pungent blue cheese, little bite every day. And then I got to the point where I'm like, dude, blue cheese is awesome. And I want it on everything. Cool. But it's just like with dance. It's like if you have a move you can't do,
repetition.
Yep.
Repetition.
Yep.
Repetition.
Keep doing it. So I just treated it like that. I treated it like a drum beat. I got to learn it. Like I just got to hash it out and keep doing it until I get it. And it worked. What was the food like since we're talking about food, what was the food like on So You Think You Can Dance?
Oh my God. It was nothing to rave about.
Do you, since you approach it like an athlete, do you stick to a specific diet? Are you very conscious about what you're putting in your body? And
yeah, I try to stay conscious about it. I mean, like my breakfast and lunch are usually like smoothies and drinks and like nuts and things like that. And dinner, I just kind of go crazy. And it just kind of depends what the weekend is and what's going on. But I definitely think that when I'm in the kitchen more, there's a stronger connection to food. There's a stronger desire to want to fuel my body in a way that will make me want to live better. So if I'm not there, if I'm not present, or if I'm traveling, it obviously gets harder and harder to eat properly, especially, that's the one thing that I love to see when I tour and I'm teaching these kids is what they're eating and what you see, what wrappers are in the hallway from the kids that leave it over and how they respond, because all I'm doing is collecting data and how they, because I'll teach similar things in each place in each age division or whatever it is, and to see them respond or how much they can handle, and then I'll maybe sometimes connect it to what they're eating, or it's just so interesting to look around, and that's just America, like when we go outside, it's even different to see what they're eating and how they're responding and what they connect to. But I don't know.
What countries have you toured to?
Well, before the pandemic, I'm in this contemporary company called Entity Contemporary Dance, and we did a tour over in Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have like
Korea?
Did you get a lot of time to venture out while you were there?
Yeah, lots of hikes, lots of chicken wings, lots of beer, ramen.
What about like sushi in Japan? Like, did you go to any like amazing places?
Yeah, we went to me and my friend went to Okinawa, that island off of Japan, and we had some really, it's just crazy what can happen inside your mouth. Like, talk about a dance. That's why I think I get really jealous too of what you do with food. It's because and this is, I guess, what the pandemic did to me, which is kind of fucked up. It's tangible. It's something that people actually need. When we were in isolation, or what was it called?
Lockdown.
Yeah. The first thing to go are the arts and the things, because they're not essential, and obviously food is essential. Yeah. So I'm like, I got really jealous that I didn't have something that was quote unquote essential.
Yeah,
but it is. It's still functioning.
But even here in
that moment of
even here in California, they crushed the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
Like it was, and finding out that they were doing it to just make it look like they were doing something because they didn't know what to do. So they they crush all these restaurants like that.
That was really hard.
That was really, really hard.
For
and
everyone, all my friends' dance studios, like anyone that was, creating a business, it was gone.
Yeah. But the only not the only reason, but the biggest reason, the biggest fueling reason for me in cooking is the art of it. Like I enjoy putting it on the plate, and like the plate every time is my canvas, and it's like I get to build these colors and flavors and make it a thing. And I mean, I'm even
like a painter. Yeah.
And like I have a friend, Taft McWhorter, who's an amazing artist. Shout out Taft. And he does like he does a lot of different kind of art, but some of my pieces I love the most are like his abstract. Like he does these really cool splatter paintings.
Oh, cool.
And it's more than just him like throwing paint on a canvas. Like he builds these textures and these color schemes and it's wild. And like I have a few of his pieces, and like the longer you stare at them, the more you see. And when I met him, I was like, I want to do food that looks like your paintings one day. And it took me a while to like get there, and then I figured it out. And then I went to him and I was like, let's do an art dinner.
Yeah.
And before the pandemic, and this is the part of the pandemic that really crushed me, was that it took this away, because we were building up steam. We were doing these art dinners, and then it was gone. But we rented a art gallery, and we put his paintings up on the wall, and then I put a big long table down the middle of the art gallery, and we decorated it like his paintings. And then like certain seats were VIP seats. They came with a painting, and we sold those for more, and they were closer to the kitchen. And I built a kitchen that everyone could see in the art gallery. And we did like a 5-course dinner, and it all mimicked his artwork. That's awesome. It was so fun.
Now all you needed was some dancing.
Yeah. No, and honestly, it was in the plan going forward. I wanted to get to a point where like my servers were dancers that served the food with choreography.
Yeah.
Be so cool. Yeah. Well, when we bring it back
there
one day, I'll hit you up. We'll make it happen.
And then we'll take it to Broadway, and then we'll win a Tony.
Oh my goodness. A chef with a Tony?
Yeah.
What?
That sounds pretty cool.
You know what? I still want a Grammy, even though it's all just rigged and stupid. But like that's still in my list of things to do. So that could be cool. A chef with a Grammy and a Tony.
Mm-hmm. Might as well just get.
I'll write the music for it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a TV spin-off version, so I can get an Emmy.
Yep.
There we go.
We're going for the EGOT.
Let's go get
Watch
it.
out, Whoopi Goldberg.
I can't sing, so. But you can get the Grammy without singing, I guess, right?
Yeah, you can produce something.
Yeah, we could get that. Well, speaking of food and all this, so I like to do a little blind taste test. I bring my guests into my world and flex your palate. Are you down?
Down.
Okay, so I'm going to pause. He's going to grab the food, and then we're going to have you put on a blindfold.
Perfect.
You been blindfolded before?
Yeah. I'm a dancer. Come on.
You get blindfolded to dance?
Yeah, all the time. No.
Really?
Oh shit. I guess I've never done this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I brought a bunch. I didn't know which way I was gonna go. So I got a bunch of crazy things here. By the way, and we can also cut this out into a little piece. For those watching that love the blind taste test, please comment what you would like to see some of my future guests try to taste.
Oh no.
I would like to know from the fans what they want to see. Because I've been pretty nice so far. I do like just palate testing things. Nothing crazy. Today we got something maybe a little outside the box. We'll see. We'll see how you do so far. Okay. Have you ever done a blind taste test before?
No, never with a chef.
What have you done blindfolded? You said
I don't. I mean,
you're not sharing that.
Things where you just can't see. It's just
okay.
You get tied up.
Can you can dance blindfolded?
Yeah, oh yeah. People do that all the time.
Okay.
They do it to a song called Colorblind, and it always does really bad at competition.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk more about that. Okay, so this one I always give this to chefs to really just test them right out the gate because it's a very important ingredient.
Oh, no. It's
So-
pepper.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. All right, here we go. So what I'll do is I'll just say open up, and then I'll just spoon a little bit into your mouth. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds
All right.
like a dream.
Open up. Mm-hmm.
Carrot.
All right. I have had chefs miss that.
Well, I was like, it could be. What's that other jicama?
Jicama. Yeah, jicama's crunchy like that, but
It doesn't taste like it.
has like hardly any flavor. That's why you always got to put lime on it. Here,
Yes.
and then I will give you this water if you want to reach out, and you can rinse in between with that. Okay, let's see. Where do I want to go? Where do we want to go next? Oh, this will be fun. Let's see if you can get this. All right, open up.
I know this.
You know this. This is a popular one in LA.
Hummus.
Yeah.
It feels like, yeah.
It's a little weird when you take your eyes out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, did you bring the hummus? Okay, we'll go to this one. I think this will be a nice little play after the hummus.
This is what babies gotta feel like. You know, like when they're just eating and they just put it in their mouth, they don't even know what it is yet, and they just look at you like all crazy.
This is what babies feel like. All right, open up.
I know what it is. I mean, I've had it before.
Yeah. I think
It's
everyone
not
has.
Wow. It's not like it's like some type of. It's a vegetable, ish. It's not a celery. It's not a. It's softer than that.
Do another bite.
Yeah, give me another
All
bite.
right. Open up. the tiny chew to think.
Is it a cucumber?
It's a cucumber. All right, your palate's good right now.
What? That was like kind of hard.
Interesting.
Not a lot of flavor. I just had to bite down.
Where do we go next? Let's go with this. This is gonna be a tough one.
Oh no.
Chefs use this a lot, but since you have shared with me some of your travels, let's see if you can pick up what this is. It's very strong, so I'm gonna give you just a little bit.
Perfect.
Open up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've had this.
Yeah. Definitely a lot here
It's
in
like
LA.
a paste. It's like something on sushi. It's salty. Oh man. Oh man.
It's in a sushi restaurant, but not usually used on sushi.
Okay. Because it's not, I mean, like, it feels like I just left Sugarfish.
We're thinking hard, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, I need a clue.
I gave you one.
Oh,
It's in the
no.
sushi restaurant,
It's in
but
a
it's not always on sushi.
It's not always on sushi.
It's in the sushi restaurant. Usually, it's in some sort of starter at the sushi restaurant.
Oh, okay. It's like a miso.
Boom,
It is?
miso paste. Yeah, that was a tough one. You want to rinse?
Yeah.
This should be fairly easy. All had on that.
Oh,
Bigger chunks, sorry.
apple.
Done. Man, ladies and gentlemen, Kent with the palate.
I be tasting things,
All right, okay.
and I do not have COVID.
And you do not have COVID. Have you gotten COVID?
I have.
Yeah. How was that?
It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vaccinated or
After vaccination. Yeah.
after vaccination?
Yeah, I just was like lethargic, tired.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the worst thing you can do to a dancer is just like make
Mhm.
me tired and not want to move.
Yeah. That was probably a wildly new feeling for you.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten it yet.
You probably never will.
Yeah, I go in a grocery store every day. You know, I've been in Texas, I've been in Florida. You know, those places are
Touching avocados.
Okay. This is gonna be a curveball.
Oh no.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Open up. You use your teeth, not your lips. It's so funny.
Mayonnaise.
Good job. You know what? We'll call it there. You nailed every one of them.
Was that mayonnaise?
Yeah.
I hate mayonnaise.
You didn't put that on the rider.
I mean, I'd still eat it. Wow.
Wild,
There they
huh?
are.
There was one more.
Where's the miso paste?
Right here.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really miso paste. It's so pungent. It's so strong, so strong. You know, but like miso soup, you just put that in the pot with the water and the kombu and
Some tofu.
and the little tofu, and you got an amazing.
So horny.
You got an amazing soup. Well, since you did so well, you're a winner today.
I love winning.
I don't know if you like cookies, but this is my cookie company, Epic Mega.
I love
Co.
those words.
Thank you. Yeah, open it up. I think
I like epic. I like mega. I like super. Oh. E equals MC experience.
Epic Mega Cookie Co. EMC squared.
Oh my god, that's funny. Whoa. What?
Amazing, right?
That looks like a pie.
Yeah, it's a giant cookie. So I ship these nationwide.
This looks epic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I can't wait to eat that. Tonight I'm having a Taco Tuesday night.
You got friends coming over?
Uh-huh.
Dude, there you go. You guys can share that.
I know.
Dessert covered.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you guys all cooking together? Are you ordering? What are you doing?
I'm cooking it.
You're cooking.
Yeah, and I'm just like...
What you making? Tell us the spread.
It's not good. I tried to experiment. I tried experimenting last night because I'm like, my agent's coming and some friends. Like, I just kind of want to impress. Like, we're making a good margarita, got the orange liqueur and everything. Like, it's going to be a good drink.
Yeah.
But I was just, messing around with some steak and it was really chewy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing I wanted like a Kogi, like the Kogi truck. And so I was just like, I love soy sauce, ginger, garlic, honey,
So you're
lime.
going Asian style tacos.
Yeah, with just the steak. And then we have a chicken, which we're going to keep authentic and Mexican. So I was just like, but I mean, like, it wasn't that good.
What steak were you using?
I'm not sure. It just is like, it was cut up in chunks at Whole Foods.
Oh, that was probably stew meat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should I not do that?
No, not that
Okay,
meat.
what should I do?
Get like a flank steak.
Flank.
Yeah.
And how many, like, if they're like 6 people, like, what is that pounds wise?
You'd probably go with 2 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll have extra probably, but flank steak. Do you have a grill at your place?
Mm-mm.
No, you're doing it on the stovetop.
Yeah.
That's fine. You could still do it.
But a grill would be better.
Well, with flank steak, yeah, a grill would be better. But yeah, just salt, pepper it up. Do all your other seasonings. I would say since you're doing it in a pan with the flank steak, add that sauce like seasoning to the end. Just start cooking it.
And then like 3 minutes. Like I like it a little pink. Like I don't want to overcook it.
Yeah, do like 2. Flank steak will be thin.
I don't have to tenderize it or anything, or should I?
No, you don't. You just cook it a couple minutes on each side. Yeah, probably 3 minutes on each side, and then you want to slice just against the grain, so you'll see the grain,
The marbling.
Yeah, and then just slice it nice and thin, and add your sauce. That'll be better than yeah, you got stew meat. That stuff's supposed to be like cooked for a long time, and that's why it was chewy.
Oh, thank God you told me that. Like, I'm literally gonna go to the store right after this.
Awesome,
This is
man. Too bad
amazing.
this is too bad this wasn't on a weekend. I'd just come help you out
That would be
one day.
nuts. I would go buy a stove. I mean, I would go buy a grill right now.
I would just pre-grill it and bring it over. Yeah, at any time, man. You know, we'll stay in touch for sure.
I'm not good at it, but I want to be.
If you need, you need to impress somebody.
Yes.
Like I'll give you one. Just hit me up.
Got it. Got it. I'm taking it.
Get that one favor.
Calls him on my wedding.
Yeah, that one's not for you.
Come on. Fine.
I've said no to a lot of weddings.
I bet. That's the only. That's like where like when I have that wedding, like I'm gonna spend all of it on the food and the music.
Yeah. Food and the music, because you're all gonna have a dance party. That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I want to feed them good, and I want them. That's what I remember from weddings. Is what did I eat?
Right.
Which I rarely remember what I eat. Do you keep a food journal?
I should be better about it, because especially because like for my client, I cook every day, and I even yesterday was like, I need to just like I need to start logging every day what I cook. And then I get like depressed even thinking about that, because I've cooked so many things that I haven't logged, and I wish I would have.
That's why there's Instagram, I guess.
Right, and then so I'll go back, but then like I'm not like the Instagram whore with my food, because I want the food to go out hot. Like that
sounds like a whore to me.
I want the food to be enjoyed. At the temperatures, but I don't want to. I'm like, when I'm taking pictures of it, I'm like, this is dying right now. Like I'm just like, get this out, like get it out. I need somebody over my shoulder taking photos. So one day when I can get to that team, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you're right. The food at the wedding. I mean, are you dating anyone? Is there anyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's that going?
It's good. It's good.
Have you talked marriage?
No. We're just trying to survive.
Okay. That's good. All right. Well, Kent, thank you so much, man, for this conversation. I enjoyed everything that we talked about. I think I hope it inspires, people to, pursue that path and have their eyes open, and the perspective that there's, something could pop up. Like for you, you were headed to Chicago to try and do Juilliard, and they're like, the universe was like, no, it's this way.
Not today.
It's this way.
Yeah,
and now look at you.
I don't know about you viewers out there, but I feel inspired. So I'm ready to go. I think this was awesome. So thanks for having me out.
Yeah. I mean, it's like sometimes we lose, but
I think we always lose.
Yeah.
Like, I think it really is. It's like, I don't know. It's hard living in America because you need to have a winner and a loser. But I like being in the position of a loser because it always, makes you want to search for more.
Keeps you hungry.
Yeah, keeps you hungry.
And it's, I always say, like, losing's easy. Success is the hard part. Trying to be successful at something for a long time, like, that's hard, And so, it's all a place to learn from and grow and keep inspiring. Yep. Kent, thank you so much, man. All right, let's wrap it up. Woo! Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to A Bunch of Losers with me, Derrick Fox. Please comment below if you guys have questions for any of these guests. I'm sure they would love to answer, and I'll answer as well. So let me know below. Also, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, and then also make sure you're following us on Instagram, A Bunch of Losers with Derrick Fox, so you get the update on the new episodes. We will be launching them weekly. All right. Thanks, losers. Action.